Kamen Rider Wiki.
Hey YouTube, Kamen Rider here with my review of Kamen Rider Build episode 24. So this was another good episode. I felt it was a little bit more of a subdued episode, just kind of a quieter episode. All things considered, I mean, stuff definitely happened. Some fights definitely went down, especially at the end. But compared to some of the pacing of this week, this was Build's equivalent of a quieter episode. We sort of established some new stuff. You know, we got Rouge's backstory, his new backstory, which isn't really anything revolutionary. I mean, he defected. He asked the dude that looks like Brain from Drive, who dressed like the people from the Gamma World from Ghosts. He asked that dude, whose name I haven't bothered to learn because I keep identifying him by those things. He asked him to make him a writer, and he went through sort of rigorous torture until Stalk one day gave him the Rouge stuff. We didn't get really any, unless I missed any sort of tidbits, we didn't really get any information on the cracked bottle or how it's different from the other stuff, how it was made, anything like that. It was basically all basic setup about Rouge. You know, he confronted his dad in an attempt to steal the box. We found out, you know, it was funny because they're like, oh, that's how they got all the information, but there's another mole or bugging somehow. I can't tell whether they're implying that there's a straight up mole or whether someone just bugged them. Like, you know, someone just came in and bugged them and then left, or if there's actually somebody that's a mole. I think it's the mole thing, but we'll see. But so, like, that stuff kind of happened. We established the new status quo of Grease working with Team Build, straight up moving into the cafe and into the whole setup, and I think that's going to be fun. I think that'll bring up some actual good character stories in terms of the relationships they all create, but also some really good comedic stuff, given that he's a fan of Misora, especially since he has like a pillow of her. So I think that's going to be funny. It's very much classic. Like, Third Riders have a sort of classic setup, I feel, recently, where they come in as sort of an anti-hero antagonist, where they're like an antagonist, but they're not like a straight up evil villain, and then they wind up working with the group, so he's sort of filling that role, very similar to Necrom and to an extent Snipe as well. But anyway, so he's working with them now, and so is the last remaining Yu-Gi-Oh brother. And that made for some kind of funny stuff later too, but I like that they're working together. Speaking of funny stuff, I wanted to get to this before I forget it. I've mentioned this before, but I love the intros in this series. I love that they have a funny way of recapping things, especially when they bring in, it's like mainly done by Sento and Ryuga, but they'll bring in others sometimes. But like this week had a bit where Ryuga's like, hey, have you noticed I haven't gotten much focus lately? And then Sento said, oh, you're not, don't worry about it, you're not in it much to begin with. And he's like, what? And it's just, it's like the best recaps I've ever seen. I would honestly watch like a 20-minute video every now and then of them just recapping a Rider series or an episode. Like, it's just fun. And there was like a funny moment later when they were like chasing things in the air, and Build, you know, goes hawk gaddling, and Grease uses his copter thing, and he takes little Yu-Gi-Oh brother along with him, and Claus tries to grab on, and he falls, and he kind of has to chase him down, and it was all a bit comedic, like cartoonish in a way, but I thought it worked very well in like the spirit of Ryuga's personality, and like sort of the whole, like selling the whole, not selling, that's not the right word, but sort of, you know, presenting the story of like they have to get used to working together, and possibly like literally working together like in unison, like he would think to bring Claus with him. Although I feel like that would weigh them down. Like, that makes it sound like I'm saying Claus is fat, but like that's like a whole rocket monster thing and Claus. But yeah, so that stuff happened. There was a couple fights with Hazard. The first one, nobody had to stop him, and I think he used Pirate Train, and nobody had to stop him because his opponent Rouge just straight up defeated him. Like, he de-transformed him. I thought that was just kind of funny because usually his concern is, you know, or was it Stalk? I think it was Stalk. Never mind. I'm pretty sure. Was it Stalk? I don't know. Regardless, whoever defeated him, I think it was Stalk because he was like talking to him about stuff. Maybe. I'm like way confused and I just saw the episode. Anyway, I'm sure a bunch of people will correct me in the comments, but regardless, the main point of this isn't who he fought, it's that I find it funny that there's so much focus on, oh man, this power is the only thing that can make me win, but it's too dangerous, but then the enemy just straight up takes care of it for him by beating him. But yeah, it had to be Stalk because he used Hazard. He used Hazard at the end to fight that pesky Rouge. Knave. Post-haste something British, I don't know, anyway. but like he fought Rogue at the end. They're like we can do it. Just go like Super Saiyan God, and then you go Super Saiyan God, and it doesn't work. And they're like, oh man. So yeah, it doesn't work against Rogue. That'll obviously lead us into the later forms probably, but it's interesting the way that's developed, and I kind of appreciate that it's not like a hold it in type of I could just use it if I concentrate thing. It's like someone has to stop me type of deal. And the other big thing that happened this episode was like foreshadowing to Misora's story, where like when they were doing Love and Peace, she like got this little glowy thing, and then at the end of the episode she sort of sleepwalks to the battle. So that was kind of the major cliffhanger-y thing. But yeah, it was a bit of a quieter week, but it's really saying something of Build, that it was a quieter week and stuff still happened. It was just kind of more stuff we already know in motion, but it did a good job of setting stuff up for next week, like with Misora and stuff. So yeah, overall I'd give the episode 8.5. Anyway, until next time, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe. It's Awesome Rider, signing out.